bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
All right. Well. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man. It's Fade to Black. And it's Monday, November 13th, 317 days into the new year. Just 48 days left. Unbelievable. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? No rest for the wicked. Not around here. It ain't gonna happen. Nah. Eric, that's a great gift. Is that Nassim Haramein? Kind of looks like Nassim back in the day. This is Fade to Black. All right. It's Monday. Tonight, very special guest, Michael Lee Hill. Yeah. And we're going to have a full-on, all Anunnaki, all the time type of evening tonight here on the show. Love it when that happens. He also took some amazing pictures over the weekend on 11/11 on Saturday evening, had a meditation, and after that went out and took some images of what he's calling a triangle UFO. Now, we've got 5 images, so we're going to be sharing that tonight and discussing that. Maybe we'll get a little music in and everything else that we do with Michael Lee Hill. So get ready for that. He'll be here in a few short minutes. Tomorrow night, now check out the week that we have. Tonight, Michael Lee Hill. Tomorrow night, Daniel Sheehan is here. Now, he is in Standing Rock. And now... he is up there. We'll discuss everything tomorrow night, but he has been hired and retained as counsel. And what is going on up there, we're going to discuss all of that tomorrow night. Plus, and especially with Daniel, the JFK documents that were just released, and everything else that is going on right now. Nobody is more connected than world events and conspiracies and the New World Order than Daniel Sheehan. So we'll be discussing all of that tomorrow night. Wednesday night, Daniel Brinkley is going to be here. Now, we had Daniel booked before Coast to Coast. It's just, it's just the way the chips fall sometimes. I had Daniel on Coast Saturday night for Veterans Day, for the first hour of the show. But we are going to be discussing, obviously, where we're going to go with Danny. We have to. That's the near-death experience. So we're going to do that. But also, he's got some new information on the Las Vegas shooter and the shooting and what is going on right now in Las Vegas. Now, mysteriously, the media has abandoned this story. We have not. And we will be discussing all of these revelations with Daniel Brinkley on Wednesday. So tune in for that show. Thursday, is another Fader Night, open lines all night long with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom live. And, of course, open lines all night long. Tonight, we will open up the phone lines for Michael Lee Hill, 323-825-5045. And you can follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Simple enough, at JChurchRadio. Facebook, YouTube, you can go and follow, like, and subscribe over on our website. And if you want to hang out with us on Twitter, we use TweetDeck, but you can use the hashtag F2B on Twitter for the sandbox and come and join the conversations over there. Twitter's now 280 characters. You know, that was such a big deal last week. Do you guys, are you guys so acclimated now? This is what I find strange. You know, Twitter opens it up for 280 characters, and I don't see the long tweets. Everybody's still tweeting, a sentence or two. Was it just a fad? I mean, obviously it's there if you need it, but you don't really. Twitter did a really good job, I think, for almost not quite 10 years, probably 8 years, forcing that 140 character limit on us. It got us to get our thoughts straight, right? We don't need. We don't need 100 or 280. We need a little more. We need like 155. We need that extra 15. And I think we would have been just fine. Okay. Where am I? Twitter, hashtag F2B is the sandbox. And if you have any questions or comments during the show tonight, use hashtag F2BQ. That's Fade to Black questions. If you need to get something into me and you need me to read it and you have a question, post it right there, hashtag F2BQ. All right. Now, we have just 2 weeks left. Today is the 13th, until November 30th, a little over 2 weeks, for our next Late Night Podcast Star Contest, courtesy of your friends over at Tascam Pro. Okay? We've got a lot of great entries so far. And I know for those of you out there that are procrastinating and polishing and getting things ready and working on your artwork and the name and the record. Okay, I get that. But there is just 2 weeks left. Okay, that's it. November 30th, this shuts down. All you have to do is register as a Fadernaut. That's the first thing. You have to register as a Fadernaut. No purchase necessary. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, go to the membership page, and register as a Fadernaut. And that's stage one, because we need to verify who you are and, of course, your email address. You must live in the United States, and then you're going to officially give us a pitch, which is an audio recording, okay? Give us an audio recording of why you think you should be the next podcast star and what your show is going to be about. Give us your podcast name. Supply us with some artwork, a logo in banner form that you would use on your own website or social media for promotion. Okay, that's how you enter. Go to jimmychurchradio.com. At the top of the page, you will see Game Changer. Click there. All the rules, how to enter is right there. Okay, so good luck to all of you. The grand prize, courtesy of Tascam, is a full-on podcast studio. You're going to get a Tascam Mini Studio Creator US42. It's got 2 mic pre's, 2 headphone outputs, everything you need, effects, everything. A totally awesome interface. You get that, you're going to get headphones and a microphone, cabling, everything ready to go to become the next podcast star. Okay, that's the grand prize. And then the winner, their first podcast is going to get broadcasted right here on the Game Changer Network. How cool is that? We're going to give you the recognition. We're going to give you the audience. We're going to give you the gear. It's all up to you. All right. Now, Unity Workshops needs your help. It's a community. And so their first series of podcast is on portals. And they need your help. They need producers. They need writers, video, audio testimonials. For details, you can go over to our Facebook page. Also, you can email john@modernmasters.org or Rita right here on Fade to Black, Rita at Jimmy Church Radio, and get involved. This is a community effort, and everybody that has gotten involved. Thank you. Okay, but the Unity project is about us, and all you have to do, all the information that you need, is at theunityproject.org. Okay, now our next event is coming up very, very quickly. We're already almost through November, and then it's going to be on top of us, which is the Conscious Life Expo, February 9th through the 12th, 2018 at the LAX Hilton. Tickets and info are over at consciouslifeexpo.com. We've got a full weekend of events scheduled. Of course, I'll be hosting the Ancient Aliens panel on the opening night on Friday in the Plaza Ballroom. I look forward to seeing all of you Fadernauts there. We are going to have, now all of our sponsors are amazing, and this is a family thing here that we do with all of our sponsors. And of course, I'm referring to Life Change Tea and GetTheTea.com, River Moon Coffee, New Pharma, Ancient Life Oil, Sacred Skulls, New Manna, Food Storage, Bearing Optics, okay? And Life Change Tea, Ronnie McMullen, Juanita and Jeff of River Moon Coffee, and Chip Paul of New Pharma are all going to be at the Conscious Life Expo. So this is going to be a full-on Fade to Black, Fade or Not weekend. Come and hang out with all of us. And if you are of the privileged, maybe Rita will let you know where this secret gathering is going to be. Think about that. All right, you know you want to come and hang out with us, and we make it special every single time. Ask any Fade or Not that's ever been there. Ask anybody. Ask any guest that has been on this show. You know, they know where they want to come and hang out, and so do you. Conscious Life Expo, February 9th through the 12th. Okay, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We have over 750 archive shows. Custom apps, Apple, Android, all platforms, just $2 a month. Go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the podcast banner. And I just mentioned how to enter the next podcast star contest. You must register as a Fade or Not. And very simple. You can become an official Fade or Not in our membership section. Okay, just click right there on membership. The banners are right there. You can get the bunker cam. You can also get free downloadable archives. And if you become a game changer, you'll get all that Fade to Black gear, autographed hat, embroidered hat, T-shirts, all that stuff. And it's all over in our membership area at jimmychurchradio.com. Okay, let's get this show cracking. Tonight, Michael Lee Hill is here. It's a full Anunnaki evening all night long. I'm sure Steve I will be talked about at least once. Today, happy birthday to Gerard Butler. Today, he's only 48. Man, really? Is that right? Butler's only 40. I look younger than Gerard Butler. He's 48 years old. Awesome in rock and roll, by the way. 300. He was amazing in 300. I didn't even know when I saw 300. I had to watch it a couple of times. I'm like, hey, Ree, that's dude from Rock and Rolla. We've been fans ever since. He's really good, too, also in Gods of Egypt. And if you haven't seen Gods of Egypt, yeah, it's Hollywood. Yeah, but it's got all of the mythology in there. It's really, really a fun movie to go and watch. Steve Zahn, funny man. Steve Zahn today is 50. And also, actor Joe Mantegna today is 70. Now, how does Joe Mantegna get on the birthday list? I know that's what you're asking, right? Well, yeah, I mean, he's a great actor, but that's not why. Oh, no. He owns the best pizza place in Los Angeles, and it's right down the street from the bunker. It's called Taste Chicago Pizza right here in Burbank. It's an amazing pie. Happy birthday, Joe Mantegna. Okay, on this day in history, OTD 1974. Karen Silkwood dies in a mysterious one-car crash. She was on her way to a meeting with a union representative and a reporter for the New York Times. And she had told everybody that she had a folder full of documents and she was going to do the dump, but she never made it. And that folder was not found in the wreckage. On this day in history, 1974, Karen Silkwood. She was 28 years old. And the strange thing, this is what's crazy about Karen Silkwood. If you haven't gone and investigated her case as a whistleblower, very interesting, with the plutonium. She was cleaning plutonium pellets to assemble into some rods, and her alarm in her glove box went off, this radiation alarm, and it turned out she had plutonium on the inside of her gloves. After she died, they went and checked out everything completely. Her house, there was radiation everywhere. And then in the autopsy, they found it inside of her body. Right? Something went down there. She was offed for sure. Right? 28 years old and then had a one-car crash. And the entire story is about as crazy and mysterious and as dark as it gets. On this day, 1974, Karen Silkwood, one-car crash. Fader fact. I don't know if you guys know this. These are some really good Steve Vai gifts, by the way. And thank you for that. That's his 3-string. Where's his heart guitar? Let me see the heart guitar. Is this Elvis Presley? It's a Fader fact. This is vetted. Elvis Presley wore a cross, a Star of David, and the Hebrew letter Chai because he didn't want, and I'm quoting here, this is what he said, he didn't want to miss out on heaven due to a technicality. Is that how you say that Hebrew letter? I don't speak Hebrew. Chai, C-H-A-I, Kai. Kai. I don't know. I'm not making fun. I'm just trying to figure it out. All right. Tonight, very special guest, Michael Lee Hill is here. And we're going to talk Anunnaki all night. And he's also took a series of images on Saturday night on 11/11 after doing a meditation and snapped these amazing photographs. So we're going to talk about that as well. Tomorrow night, Daniel Sheen is here live from Standing Rock. Wednesday night, Daniel Brinkley from Las Vegas. And then, of course, Thursday night's another Fader night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake newsroom live. Now, it's going down this week. I talked about it 2 weeks ago, and I was poking fun. The Venus and Jupiter conjunction. Well, it went down this morning, if you were outside. And I posted a couple of images, not only on Facebook, but I think I did it on Twitter and so forth. But Venus and Jupiter are far apart. I mean, they're really far apart, hundreds of millions of miles. But if you got up this morning and you looked up in the sky, they were literally on top of each other. It's pretty rare. It's pretty stunning. And at their closest point, they were just 0.3 degrees apart. Hey, there you go. Sounding great in Kentucky. And he's posting Steve Vai. Thank you. That's John with his heart guitar. There it is right there. That's what I'm talking about. That was from the Eat 'em and Smile tour, I think, with David Lee Roth. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Mark Tarana's got it in here, too, as well. Man, you guys like Steve Vai. I dig that. There is a video that Michael Lee Hill sent me of Nikki Sixx called The Greatest Lick, Your Favorite Lick or whatever, with Steve Vai. It's a pretty good interview. Pretty good. And Steve, of course, shreds. Anyway, where was I? Jupiter and Venus, right? So 0.3 degrees apart, which is smaller than the diameter of the full moon. So they were right next to each other up in the sky. Could you imagine being some ancient civilization looking up and your normal mornings and you just look up and see that? The conjunction. It's pretty cool. But the rumors were that starting in 2 days, today's 11/13, that starting in 2 days, that we would be flooded into 15 days of darkness because of this Jupiter and Venus conjunction. Well, the good news is the darkness hasn't started yet. But seriously, don't worry. It ain't going to happen. There's not going to be any 15 days of darkness. And when we get through this, at the end, I am going to blast one more time those out there that spread these, prophecies. It gets under my skin. But for those of you out there that are just worried, don't worry. Okay? Uncle Jimmy's telling you. There's not going to be any 15 days of darkness. There wasn't any 1,000-page NASA secret document that was sent to the White House for Trump to review to let him know that there is going to be no 15 days of darkness. But it was really cool to see that this morning. It's going to happen again this morning. So get up. We got one more night of it, and then it'll be over. And then the 15th happens, and we'll see if we slip into a day of darkness. Also, I talk about the secret space program all the time. And I also talk about the shuttle program, Apollo, the Apollo moon hoax. Did we go to the moon or not? Yeah, we did. Was Apollo real or not? That's another story. Is there a secret space program running in the background, even before Apollo getting us to the moon? These are all questions that we often have. And when the Apollo shut down, it freaked me out. It didn't make any sense then. I was just a kid. And I was like, what do you mean no more moon? What do you mean? It was just like overnight, just that's it. That's it. No more Apollo. And all we had was, the Soyuz Skylab thing and eventually the space shuttle on the back of the 747. And it built some excitement. Shuttle program, not only the accidents and the tragedies that were there, but the shuttle program, again, allegedly, it just went into Earth orbit. It never went past anything. It didn't go to the moon. It didn't do anything, as far as advancing stuff. And then that program was stopped. And here we are now, barely able to launch rockets, barely, using Soviet rocket motors, and that's no joke, hopping on board the Soyuz just to get up into space, depending on the Russians, which is all good. I have no problem with that, sharing technology and being friendly. But we lost the space race, if you think about it, and right now, it's China that's going to beat us back to the moon. It might even be China that beats us to Mars. And then today, this weekend on Saturday, it was finally shown publicly, and that was this flight. And the flight was only 60 seconds long. And it was just from 12,500 feet up, okay? But it's the new generation space shuttle, and it's built by Sierra Nevada Corporation. And they have been waiting years for this moment. It's called the Dream Chaser, and it's designed to fly to the International Space Station by 2020, in 2 years. There's a picture of it right there. Thank you, Bloke from Oz, Mark Tarana. Thank you for doing that. I'll retweet it. There it is. Now, a couple of things about this. First off, it's much, much smaller than the space shuttle. Look at the wings and look at how it's built. But this past Saturday, it was dropped from a helicopter over the Mojave Desert and then glided to a runway right here at Edwards Air Force Base. But this is what is trippy. There were no passengers on board this time around. But this space plane, and it's a plane, flies itself. It landed by itself. No assistance, nothing. This is a robotic space plane designed to shuttle passengers between Earth and the space station and back. How cool is that, right? Automated. Now, there's something else that is involved. It is designed to land on any runway. Not like the space shuttle, which had to land out in the desert and it's big, heavy, and just took miles of runway. Not this little guy. And it looks pretty cool, too. So, this is where I'm going with this. Did you know that this was coming? Probably not. Did you know? No. Did you know that this was going to be ready with passengers on board by 2020 between the International Space Station and Earth? No, you did not. Looks a lot like the X-37B, too, as well, doesn't it? Now, but if this is what they have been doing and prepping and getting ready, obviously you can see that it is. The next stage is there's going to be people on this thing testing the secret space program. If this is what they are revealing to us in a public sense, what is really going on? What is really happening? This is ready to go. Think about that. Just think about it. Now, the resemblance to not only the X-37B and, of course, the space shuttle, but the technology right there, you can look at it and you can see we are working on stuff in the background. The next one after this, which is probably flying right now, doesn't have rocket engines, right? It's not going to have anything like that. Very interesting, too, by the way. No shots of the back end. No shots of what is happening on the rear end of this thing. All right, got to get out of here. I got to get the one and only Michael Lee Hill. He's ready to go. He's in the batter's box. We are going to do a full Anunnaki evening right here on Fade to Black, and we're going to take a look at these 5 stunning images that he took this past Saturday on 11/11 after his meditation. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. It's Monday, bespoke radio for the masses. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. I'll be right back with our guest, Michael Lee Hill, right after this short break. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Tepe.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at kgraradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. kgraradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Our guest tonight, Michael Lee Hill. Man, I bring up Steve Vai once because Michael's on the show tonight. I haven't seen this many Steve Vai images in Twitter, maybe ever. Man, I'm impressed that this audience even knows who Steve Vai is, because he's part of our guitar. He's our thing that guitar players keep to ourselves. He's our little secret weapon. But I enjoy it nonetheless. Michael Lee Hill is an award-winning musician. He's a filmographer and UFO experiencer. Has had a lifelong connection with the Anunnaki. We're going to be talking about that tonight. He's also been shooting UFOs and lights over Lake Erie for years. In his home state of Ohio, he has been cataloging video after video of UFOs over Lake Erie. And it's pulsating orbs of light and very interesting footage that has made all of the local news channels out there in his state of Ohio, but also nationally and on YouTube. But over the past weekend on 11/11, and we're going to talk about this tonight, Michael did a meditation, and after the meditation, he went outside and shot a series of images that we're going to share with you in a minute. We're going to talk about that right outside of his home. Very, very intriguing photographs. So we're going to do that, and we're going to discuss the Anunnaki tonight and his latest research and documents and things that are out there, and we're about to expose those and take them a bit further tonight on the show. And I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, the one and only Michael Lee Hill. Michael, good evening, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing, Jimmy?
You know what? When you're on the show, see, this is what was great. When we announced you being on the show this week, the amount of email and the post and Twitter and Facebook and social media, lighting up about you, very, very, very cool. And it's got to make you feel pretty good to have our community embrace you.
Oh, well, that's a beautiful thing, because I can tell you that whoever is trying to keep this information from the masses tried very hard. Even in the past, I was drugged and woke up with my jaw shattered and had to have my face wired back together. Had to relearn how to talk. And then in 2012, I had spent 9 months working with Spike TV and went through some traumatic stress syndrome stuff with that. They had a hypnotist that regressed me, and it caused some stress. We'll just leave it at that. But all that stuff, when I started to work with A.R. Borden, which we'll get into, he had these elitists explain to me why why this information was withheld from mankind for the last 25 years. So I've done my best because I felt a little deflated where I tried my best to get this out there, and knowing that Spike TV has a show sitting on a shelf somewhere, it's totally done. And it was censored and not allowed to be aired. You know, what else can I do? Mm-hmm. But I've never stopped. You know, I've kept on and got this information out, so it's really nice for me to hear that it's resonating with people. So,
well, I'll tell you something. When it comes to, it is cool. When it comes to network, the networks and network television, just because you shoot a show, not only with your experience, but I'm just telling you my own personal experiences and other researchers out there. Just because you shoot a show doesn't guarantee anything, right, that it airs. That's the first thing. The second, I do feel somewhat from other researchers out there that have shot shows that have never aired, that it just seems like they want to collect the information and then silence, you know, and then shelve it on purpose. And I don't know what those reasons are. I don't know if it's the government. I don't know if it's a way of having these different researchers go out there and go, hey, you know, I'm shooting this show, and then it never airs, and those researchers look like schmoes, right? And so it kind of discredits our community too as well, and that these shows weren't good enough to air, right? And that's the feeling that I get. But you don't have any control of the networks, and nobody has figured that out ever anyway. And for you and Spike TV, I don't know anybody over at Spike, so I'm not talking good or bad about them. But in general, networks are networks, man, and you just don't have control over it, do you? None. No,
I'll tell you what was interesting about this case is the head producer from Spike TV said that Spike was so enamored with what they had on film. You know, they had reenacted a lot of these things from my life, and everyone was blown away by it. The head producer from Spike TV said that he had went above, you know, on the company ladder. He hadn't edited anything in like 5 years, and Spike TV had him personally editing footage to get this show ready to air in the fall of 2012. And he told me that they had all the editors working 24/7. The interesting part in this is I found out exactly why it was shelved, and it was due to national security issues that revolved around the free energy issue. I was brought into a meeting, and they explained exactly why they didn't want this shown, and I think it'd be a cool thing to get into if you're game.
Well, yeah, just don't get me sued.
No, it's all good. It's nothing like that.
Okay, what happened?
They said that what we needed to understand, and I'm not saying I subscribe to this point of view, I'll tell you exactly what happened, is they said once people find out that the extraterrestrial subject is real, they're gonna ask, well, what about how are they getting from A to B? What about their propulsion systems? They said that leads right to free energy, and they said you don't even need alien intervention. People like Tesla has already figured it out, you know, very smart humans. They said what we don't understand is that it's Pandora's box, that it is unlimited, it is free, and it's energy. So they brought up the point, you know, what do you think people that don't have the best interests, you know? With that technology, you could make something that would make a nuclear suitcase look like child's play. So they said, what do you do with the people that would misuse it? Because once it's unleashed on a planet, there is no one that will not have access to unlimited free energy. So truly, a planet has to be at a certain place of evolution for this to be allowed. And what's interesting, I just seen this come across my feed, and I can tell you it's very accurate. This was U.S. Air Force NRO operative Sergeant Dan Morris, and he said UFOs are both extraterrestrial and man-made. It's not that our government doesn't want us to know that there are other people on other planets. What the people in power don't want us to know is that this free energy from energy generators developed with UFO technology, you know, reverse engineered, is available to everybody. So secrecy about the UFOs is because of the energy issue. When this knowledge is found out by the people, they will demand that our government release this technology, and it will change the world. And I can vow for the accuracy of that statement.
I'm going to let you continue, but everybody that has brought up these subjects over the years, every single one of them has been silenced for one reason or another.
Yeah. You know what they found out is they can't silence me. I got friends in high places, and we'll leave it at that. It's the Anunnaki, obviously. This is the time for this to happen. We are now officially in the age of Aquarius. And Aquarius, the man holding a bucket of water, was always depicted as Enki back in Samaria. He was always depicted with water erupting from his shoulders with fish in it, or he was holding buckets or pitchers of water. And so Enki or Ea is Aquarius. This is the age of Aquarius. And you know, what's interesting with this is we're talking about Bigelow. John Alexander said, we know that what we're up against is definitely in charge and more complicated and multidimensional than they could even imagine. This is what is about to be unveiled to humanity, and I'm excited.
Well, and how does it, for you, how does it go to the next level? I mean, obviously you do shows like this and you've got your own website and social media, but how do you take it to the next level?
Well, disclosure is going to happen through the reality of the Anunnaki being in humanity's past first. People are going to find out that the Anunnaki were known as the Elohim in the Bible. I'm not religious in any way, but it is what it is. This stuff is in the Bible. The Elohim created a hybrid bloodline on this planet that was called the Nephilim. And the Nephilim, what people are going to find out with actual DNA testing and scientific evidence to back this up, the Nephilim, or the Holy Grail, the Sangreal bloodline, is the lost tribe of Israel, and it did come to the United States very long ago, and it intertwined into the Native American Indian culture and became known as what is the Mound Builders. And I am that bloodline, and I'm been taken in by the actual Native American Indian elders now as the Iroquois Mound Builder spokesperson for the Star Knowledge family. And by the way, Jimmy, I just received my official spiritual Native American Indian name from these elders.
What is it?
Never had another name before.
What is it?
It is Rainbow Warrior Eagle. And they told me what all of it means, which is really interesting. They said rainbow is an actual designation that every chakra, there's 7 chakras, and they only emit light when they're balanced and cleared. And they emit the colors of the rainbow from red in the root to purple in the crown. And one of the Native American Indian grandmothers told me that to those of them that have the gift of sight, that those such individuals that have cleaned their chakra centers have become the whirling rainbow. And a Tibetan thing is with this as well. And then eagle is, obviously, like the eagle is the only bird that will fly above a storm when it comes and not seek shelter under it. So imagine that kind of consciousness, or, a warrior, so to speak. So they really gave me a good explanation of what my name means. So I just wanted to share that.
No, that's cool. So what happens when you go to hang out? That's it. You're no longer Michael, right? You're you go by this other name. Go by, what? And what else was given was grandfather, which made no sense to me because, I am getting married now, which, hello, Sarah, my love. But I don't have children or anything now. So these synchronicities and communication through Native American elders of grandfather made no sense to me. Well, I just found out very recently that the most ancient name for grandfather in Native American Indian ancient language is Ea, which is Enki, So a lot of this is coming forward to reveal the reality of who the mound builders are. And it's very interesting because the whole even creation
of the United States, our founding forefathers went to the Seneca, who are one of the tribes of the Iroquois, because people need to realize the Iroquois have the oldest functioning democracy on this planet. And our founding forefathers, like Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, they went to the Seneca chiefs and elders and grandmothers to form this experiment, and we the people on their form of government. Our Constitution was made by them. Mind you, these are the Nephilim that was helping create this United States. And there's a hell of a story that's going to be unfolded, but just so you know how real this is, at the Serpent Mound recently, I met with Graham Hancock, and his whole next book and presentation is on the reality of who the mound builders are, being truly the Atlanteans. And I can tell you what I'm telling you right now and your listeners, this is no new news to the Native American Indian elders. They know this. One of the grandmothers said, Michael, we're really happy that you're revealing who the mound builders are, and they're truly the remnants of the Atlanteans. She said, we've known this within 5,000 years of written history and 10,000 years of oral history, that the mound builders are the remnants of the Atlanteans, and they are the Anunnaki human hybrids that are on this planet.
Yeah.
And all of this is...
Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's pretty much it. It's fascinating to me. And meeting Graham Hancock, I've been fortunate enough to meet like Steve Vai and Satriani and these people. I was more nervous to meet Graham Hancock. He's such a hero of mine. And I told him, I said, dude, you're like, to me, you're the Calvary showing up to release this bed of information to mankind. So we can get into this. I know everything that's going to happen between, these two eclipses, what I've been told. I'm talking about the total eclipse that just happened in 2017. By the way, NPR was at Serpent Mound. We had over 1,000 people there, the Star Knowledge family. And it made it onto their eclipse special for NPR. But people might know that the upcoming eclipse in 2024, that directly comes over East Lake, Ohio, and the mound that I'm going to reveal, it's the Hall of Records mound. It's already got artifacts that have been removed from it in the 70s that tie it to ancient Egypt. It's the Morning Star. It's here in East Lake, and the last point beyond that was back in Samaria.
Let me just jump in really quick because I want to come back to all of this. Okay. We're going to be.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I know exactly. We're going to be headed towards a break. For those out there that may not have heard you on Fade to Black before, that are here tonight, where did the Anunnaki connection start to reveal itself in your life?
What had happened was, because of my UFO footage I was filming over Lake Erie, I got contacted by the History Channel, and they ended up doing a hour-long episode in the UFO Hunters series, and it was season 1. The episode is called Alien Contact for those that want to see it. But what was revealed is I didn't have normal human blood, and this was revealed on the History Channel by a Harvard professor. His name's David Systrom. And I know this sounds crazy, but this is just what it is. Welcome to my world. So after this episode aired in March of 2008, in the summer of 2008, I met these beings who approached me and said, we've been known in your past as the Anunnaki. And this was at a festival in New York that I was at, and it was called Sirius Rising. It's funny because now I know that they're Syrian, but you got to know at this time there was no Ancient Aliens on TV. That started in 2009. I had no clue what an Anunnaki even was, and they told me back then, you were once known as Ea, Enki, the water bearer. If I didn't know what the Anunnaki was, that sure as hell didn't make any sense. So you can see how this full circle of 8 years, and now realizing that all these grandfather synchronicities came my way, to find out that word actually means Ea, was a long 7-year to 8-year period in between those two events that the confirmation finally came for that. So they met me and said they wanted to talk to me about this blood anomaly that was just revealed on the History Channel, and that was it. that it was an indicator truly of their hybrid bloodline known as the Nephilim. They said, we know you don't understand anything about this, but you will. And at this point, too, I didn't know of my Native American Indian culture as well, or heritage, because I was adopted. I just never knew. So it's been a really bizarre ride of unfolding knowledge regarding my own life. But what I was going to say with the two eclipses, I've been told those act as bookends for really, I mean, you know, reality A and reality B. And these 7 years is, you know, 7 years of tribulation. I've been told this is where humanity will decide how bumpy or how smooth of a trip this is going to be into the next golden age and a galactic society with the Anunnaki returning.
Who is revealing this information to you, Michael?
Well, if the Anunnaki are coming through the Native American Indian culture, and I've been brought into the inner circle of the family, it's coming from actual individuals. It's coming from, for instance, I'm not going to give any names, but I didn't even know who Kuan Yin is. And I've met her in the flesh now. And getting counsel from some very intelligent beings, including my brother, Enlil, or he's known as Yahweh. They're all in the Native American Indian bloodline.
Well, how does the
Sangreal?
Well, help me understand here how the communication happens. When you say, I'm fully engaged here. So when you say you're communicating with your brother, Enlil, how does that happen?
In the physical. He is an honest to goodness, flesh and blood chief of prominent stature. And I got to the point, Spirit kept bringing me these synchronicities and coincidences, leading me to this knowledge. So I finally was in the truck with him, person to person. I said, listen, I know this is crazy, but Spirit's telling me that you are Yahweh, Enlil, my brother. His first words were, yes, I've done some pretty messed up things. I said, well, haven't we all? And he said, I don't go by that name anymore anyhow. No one knows who Enlil or Yahweh or Thoth or Marduk or, you know, whatever. No one knows who those names are anyhow. So,
but okay, so in the physical, was this somebody that was channeling, or are you saying it was him? I'm having a hard time understanding.
That's a very good question, because he himself says that lots of intelligences come through him as a channel. But, you know, it's interesting because in the past I know he tried to clue me in on this, but I do not like making assumptions. He told me, he said, Michael, every extraterrestrial race has a color and a frequency. We're 432, we're the color of gold. He said, you know, we were here to mine gold in the past. You know, giving me little hints along the way like this. This is an interesting thing that you're bringing up, because I was actually asked to bring in a topic that A.R. Borden taught, which was called topological thinking. And that is how we need to understand that communication with a multidimensional intelligence is going to come through anything and anyone. It can use anything. Think about what Bigelow said in their research, that these orbs of light could become anything biological, giant wolves, giant deer. But that investigator that they sent and contacted me, he sent me to the UK Ministry of Defense and some declassified documents. And there it said these orbs of light could, in some process unknown to mankind, become a triangular craft. That 3 of these orbs of light could come together and create a physical 3D craft that reflects light, and you know, when it goes by, you don't see any stars above. So when you really, this isn't my opinion, this is the UK Ministry of Defense and Robert Bigelow, who just went on 60 Minutes saying this intelligence can become anything,
right?
Biological or technological.
Right.
So when you ask, you know, the communication can be the craziest kind of telepathic communication. It can be you're talking to a physical person right in front of you, and everything in between.
I just got a tweet from Belle, and she says, this is intriguing, but the Nephilim were giants with 6 fingers. Does he have 6 fingers on each hand? Well, he plays some pretty good guitar. He just might have 6 fingers. But this, what she is saying here, again, this 6-fingered reference, there are all there isn't any proof of anything here, but there is a lot of different references about the physicality of the Nephilim and also the Anunnaki and who they were. Do you know how many digits they had?
The Anunnaki, I've heard, have 6. The Nephilim had 5. And what's interesting is with the DNA scientific proof that's going to be revealed, your listeners can go and look into haplogroup X2A. X2A only exists in 3 places on this planet. Presently, it's at least within 3% of the Native American Indian population. Could be much higher because of the fact that many Indians have not had their blood work done. But in the past, the same exact bloodline was only found in the tall skeletal remains that have been removed out of these earth mounds, usually in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York, mostly. But here's a good talking point. So undeniably, the exact same DNA is in a few generations in the past, it had giant stature. These skeletons were 8 to 16 feet tall.
Right.
I hear the Smithsonian has many of them. But now there's no doubt about it. That bloodline, I'm haplogroup X2A. It's reduced in stature. And but here's the deal. Any bloodline, you can go backwards in time, and where you find the highest concentration of that blood type or this new haplogroup, that will show you where it came from. The science of it is it's the hills of Galilee. This is the lost tribe of Israel. It is what it is. And the Templars did bring it here very long ago, and all of this is going to be revealed very soon.
Let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight is Michael Lee Hill. Now, when we come back, we're going to continue with the Anunnaki, of course, but we're going to take a look at these images that he shot this past Saturday on 11/11 after a meditation. Pretty amazing photographs. We have 5 of those. We'll be sharing those with you on Twitter. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back. More with Michael Lee Hill right after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas. Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy.
You're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly ancient life oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go Beckley Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Michael Lee Hill. Now, Michael, over this past weekend, took some pretty amazing photographs on 11/11 on Saturday night. I've just posted image number 1 up, Michael. And looking at this, well, tell us what happened. You did a meditation, right?
Yeah. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, but the whole 11/11 subject is that I look at it almost like when a caterpillar, the universe goes to a caterpillar and tells it it's time to start making its cocoon. It's going to turn into something else. It probably sees the equivalent of 11/11s everywhere. It's like the beginning of starting to pay attention to synchronicity. You'll just get this hunch. You look over at the clock and it's 11/11. That kind of grew to me and a group of friends started, if you take the idea, which I learned from A.R. Borden in the work I did with the NSA, that when 2 or more come together with intention, your manifestation abilities go through the roof. So at 11/11, me and a lot of my friends will post, even if you just type 11/11, and at the same time you're putting your best thought forms for the best outcome for humanity. And it's a sign that we all do it. Once you see all these 11/11s, all those people were joined with you in that moment, and more are joining. I say everyone in the audience at 11/11, start posting an 11/11 pic, and it'll just grow, and we'll know that this great group of people are focusing their mental energy for a beautiful outcome for mankind. So obviously, on November 11th at 11/11, we've all got to do something special. So me and my fiance, Sarah, her name is Rainbow Feather Two Spirits, and she is a Native American Indian as well, obviously. We arranged for both of us to post at 11/11, and we talked about some things that we would like to mentally address, and things like stopping the suffering, on this planet, stopping all this nonsense that's happening. It's not necessary. And so we did this, and the minute it got to about right after 11/11, I was out in, I call it the man cave. It's an apartment here where I live. And I was coming back into the main house, and this huge, really low, it's hard to tell in the pictures, but this thing was right over the housetop. And I was just on the phone with Sarah, so I had my phone on me. So I just started snapping pictures, and that's what it is. It didn't really actually, these things don't even much shock me anymore. I've seen it so much. This was probably the lowest, though, one has ever flown by.
Now, let's talk about image number one as we start to go through these. You described it to me, and I think also a little bit online, about being triangle. Now, I can see they're incredible shots. There's no doubt about it. And in image number one, where you've got the two bright lights in front, you've got a small red light in the back. You can't see the outline because it's a nighttime photograph with a cell phone. I get that. So what did you see with the naked eye? Describe that for us.
They're abnormally bright. It's just almost like multi-dimensional colors. It's hard to describe, but I've seen it before down over the lake, and it's kind of breathtaking. It's not normal, but the deal is, depending on how that thing is orientated in the sky, sometimes you won't see the third orb. It needs to be in a certain angle to see that third one. So some pictures you can see a third orb, some you can't. The problem with taking pictures, and I always felt like this going down to the lake and filming them with my Sony Handycam, once you start filming them, it kind of takes you out of the moment. I would have rather just sat there and watched it fly over my head.
Yeah, I do.
But I knew it was important.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I'm totally with you on that. And but what I'm asking you is what were you seeing with your eyes versus what's in this photo? I mean, I want to know what you saw with your eyes. What was the shape like? How low was it? How big was it?
From the backyard, looking over the house, and it's pretty just a normal size, house. It was coming so low that if you put maybe about 3/4 of an inch, put your fingers that far apart and put it right over the top of the house, that's how low it was. It was much lower than even like a Cessna would fly over. You really can't see any shape. It's just, and it's abnormally bright, so it's almost makes your eyes get a little like they need to focus because it's brighter than you can imagine. And pretty much very silent for the most part. It's not totally silent, which is interesting. And what I heard from someone in the know was they have multiple levels of cloaking. They can cloak either visually and become totally invisible, or they can cloak sound. But if they are interacting in this realm, they need to decloak totally. If they're just here passing through, they can decloak one thing if they want to be seen, but you won't hear it. The actual sound that you're hearing sounds like almost like a vacuum cleaner level. And what I was told is there is machinery, but it's frequency generated machinery. It's like unlimited free energy spinning devices that is in the craft. How big it was bigger than like an army jet. It was the house width. It would have taken up about 1/3 of the house as it came over it, and
how fast?
That high in like
right.
Pretty
How fast?
slow.
Yeah.
It was pretty slow. I mean, I snapped a lot of pictures. As I'd say, the whole transit once it went over the house, and I snapped 4 or 5 pictures. The whole thing probably took maybe 7 or 8 seconds.
7 or 8 seconds.
And then it just flew off. Yeah, right over top of me. Then I could sit there and watch it as it went away, but it just was too small to pick up at that point.
Now, what did we?
But they're flying over the lake.
Now, it looks like between image number 1 and image number 2, it looks like it's leaning a little bit. Was it starting to turn, or did it stay in a straight trajectory?
Yeah, good eye. Right when it came over me, it kind of did this move where it showed me its belly.
Right.
You know what I mean, so to speak. It kind of tilted up on its side and showed me its undercarriage.
And what did you see underneath?
And,
what did you see underneath?
Nothing. Not a thing.
What?
I was actually so trying to focus on the camera that I could see what it was doing, but I wasn't. I was trying to keep it in frame in the camera, which, like I said, sometimes that bums me out.
It's impossible to do, man. I'm just glad that you managed to get these 5 shots off. Now, when I get to image number 3, that for me is where things start to get just a little bit intriguing here, because we've got this what looks like a red orb in the other shots. Now you can see it here. It's actually got a shape. It's a 3D diamond shape. You can see the shadows. You can see the sides of it, and it almost looks like a smaller version unlit up of what is in front of it with the bright light. Tell me what you were seeing in image number 3. Man, that's a crazy shot, by the way. Just absolutely amazing.
Well, I'll tell you, once I know what they are, and they're Merkabas, which I'm sure your audience knows what a Merkaba is.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Yes, and I've been told as well that so if people don't know what a Merkaba is, it's like this practice of spinning your chi, like your aura, whatever you want to call it. But spiritual adepts can use different meditation and visualization techniques to spin this double tetrahedron Star of David shape that is around every person. It ends 3 feet below your feet, 3 foot above your head, and you spin it in a very specific way, and it's said to become an interdimensional travel vehicle. But what I've been told, so if you see a sphere, say a person's 6 foot, you're going to have a 12-foot sphere of light. And, you know, and according, so if it's around that size, there's one person in it. But 3 of those beings, all created Merkabas, can come together in a triangular shape, and in some process not known to man, use these tremendous amounts of energy to physically bring into reality a triangular craft. And I know this sounds crazy, but this is exactly what the UK Ministry of Defense said. It said that the real deal are these orbs. They don't know how they're created. And matter of fact, this has been studied over Hasdalen, Norway, I found out as well, because of the contact with Bigelow. They told me look into the Hasdalen case. They said Robert Bigelow knows this is all the same phenomenon, you know. But anyhow, so when you see a triangular craft, oh wait, I got to back up. So if it's a 12-foot orb of light, there's usually one person in it. 3 of those come together and they create a ball of light that's like 50 feet in diameter, like house size. And if you see one orb of light that is like the size of a house, there's usually 3 beings in it. I was told there's not many humans that could sit in one of those chairs, because if you're traveling from here to Andromeda and you freak out because you're going so fast, it doesn't end well for anyone in the ship. But 3 of those 50-foot orbs can come together. So if you think about it, it's always 3s, 6s, and 9s, which is interesting for those that know what Tesla is talking about.
Right.
And how it relates to the 432 subject. They're very related. So this is a new kind of light technology. And a matter of fact, when I met the Anunnaki in 2008, they said, we heard that you've been filming us over Lake Erie. So that's what the picture is describing. I think you're seeing the Merkaba.
Now, next question, staying on image number 3, because that, whatever it is, Merkaba, it's definitely a solid sacred geometry type of object, and it's red, it's glowing red behind. Now, but is there anything solid between these, or are we looking at 3 different objects?
I would have to think that it's locked into a triangular shape. That's usually what I see.
Right.
It's just, it's so hard to see with the luminosity of the orb. And, it's really, you don't see really much of anything other than the 3 orbs of light, even when there's a physical triangular craft in there.
Yeah, fascinating, that image number 3, because when you look at image number 1 and 2, where you can see the little the red object behind it, but because you can't see the details with the 2 bright lights that are in front, and that's just part of digital photography. But when you go and you look at image number 3, and you now know what's trailing these other 2 objects, and it's that, and that is what's flying over your house. That goes to crazy town right there, man. That is just an amazing, amazing photograph. And
I told you I have friends in high places.
Man, no kidding, right? No kidding. So now let's go to image number 4. I'm assuming, but see, this is what are we seeing here? Because I would like to think that lower object is the Merkaba that we see in image number 3, and those are the 2 white lights on top. Are they converging? What is going on here? Are they turning, or am I just looking at this strange?
Because man, I wish I knew. They do. Look into a book called Hunt for the Skinwalker, because all of the Noam's Collier, I think was his name, and George Knapp, the guy that from Las Vegas, he's the only one that they allowed to go into Skinwalker Ranch, and they have so much data on what these orbs of light are. By the way, it was Native American Indians who gave them the name Skinwalkers, because they would see these orbs of light come down and take on biological, physical form, like we're saying.
Right.
It's now, a brand new ball game, but.
Well, okay. Let's stay, Michael. I'm sorry to interrupt you or jumping in like I am, and I sound like I'm being impolite. But this lasted for 7. This is for the audience. The entire flyby took 7 seconds. You've got 5 images here. So between image number 4 and image number 5, are we looking at about a second or 2 between those 2 images?
Yeah, I would think so. And the whole thing is almost like morphing and pulsating, and so it looks a little different, what's strange is some of these questions, this is so new to me. I just put them up on Facebook. I've not really went through and looked at them. I know it sounds weird, but some of this, it's like, I'm glad I was there to photograph them, but I almost don't, it's not a big deal to me anymore. Maybe I should look at them more.
Well, because you can see the transition between 4 and 5. You can see where the red Merkaba stays in the middle, and it looks like it's turning just slightly. And the final image, number 5, goes back to retaining. You can obviously see the triangle shape, and the craft is flattened out here. But if it's triangle, is the I'm just trying to understand. Are the lights underneath it, or are the lights just forming a triangle? You understand what I'm saying, right?
I do. I don't really know the answer. I can tell you I've seen this particular craft so often down over the lake, and I've seen it do some very particular behaviors. And one is 2 of those orbs will turn off, and it'll just become one huge pulsating orb, the red, really vibrant red. And there's no, it just pulses on and then goes down to not even being able to see it, and then will illuminate again. And it's almost like it's breathing. And I've seen it do that maybe 4 or 5 times. Sometimes one of the orbs goes out and it just leaves 2 orbs. I can tell you, go and look at the Mexican Department of Defense footage that was from that Mexican military plane. You know what the footage I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah, it's the same. It's these double-orbed objects. It's always 3, 6, or 9. If it's 2 orbs, you got 6 beings. What I was told is, so 3 of these individuals can make one big orb. 3 of those come together. So 9 of them can create this giant triangular craft, and thousands of them can get inside and come down and see what us crazy humans are doing. So that's truly, 9 beings who are creating a craft in service to their race. It's fascinating.
Now, what happened next after you shot image number 5? What happened?
It flew right over my head, and as it flew and kind of tipped up, I was turning with it. And I actually walked to my backyard so I could get it at the back of my yard. And that's where the final pictures were from. At that point, it flew, which would have been west, along the coastline of Lake Erie. And I watched it for as far as it could go, and I couldn't get any more photographs. It was just too far away.
Oh, now we're getting into an interesting thing here. So, image number 5, it's flying away from you. Right?
I believe so, yeah.
So
I definitely flew over my head and away from me.
So image number 5, we will be looking at, for no other way to put it, but are we looking at the back of the craft? Is the red Merkaba, is that at the front part of the triangle? And we are looking at this craft in image number 5 flying away from you.
I kind of think the red orb was in the back of it. But like I said, it was like, I wish I could have just looked at it with my own 2 eyes. I was so trying to take photographs of it that that's all, I can say on it.
Right. I get
blew my mind.
I'm going to, let me do this. If I'm looking at this in sequence, so image number 1, when you first saw it, help me. It's flying directly over your house, right? So image number 1, it is coming towards your house, right? And you said it flew to the west along Lake Erie. So this is coming at you then from the east, right? And it's approaching you before.
No, well, hang on. I'm trying to never. The lake is north. It came from east to west.
Right, east to west.
It was coming and it flew right over really low to the point that when it was a little bit further, it was like actually being blocked by my roof of the house. That's how low it was. And as it came up over, it was probably, like how a Cessna would fly over, that height. It was about half of that between a Cessna and the ground. It was low. And so as it flew by, I captured it as best as I could. And then, it just flew off west. And I'll tell you what, though, I filmed this exact same object in the past over Lake Erie. And when it flew over me, it actually flipped over. And it's right in the footage. Then as it went out over Lake Erie, 2 of the orbs totally disappeared and it went into that pulsating red behavior. And that's actually the footage that ended up Bigelow contacting me over, because there was another witness to this Lake Erie UFO stuff in 2011, and his name was Eugene Ehrlich. And it just so happened that he filmed that exact same craft from his perspective, which is 2 miles down the lake from these apartments that were situated right on Lake Erie. So I caught it 2 miles east of him. Then the exact same night he caught it after I got it going out there. So the Bigelow investigator, Gary Hernandez, was really interested in that case as well, because he had 2 different witnesses that filmed the same thing.
Right.
What I'm telling you is that's exactly the same thing that just flew over the house on 11/11. I've seen it just fly all over this neighborhood now. I've been going down like the main road where there's a Cleveland Indians minor league stadium is there. It's just all kinds of nothing but, stores and whatnot, Walmarts and everything. And one of those went right over and went into that flashing red condition.
What is it about
I don't know what's going on with
what is it about Lake Erie? I mean, there has been so much footage shot over Lake Erie over the years. You've shot a bunch of it. So have others. It's been multiple cameras shooting the same objects of miles apart, the cameras.
Yeah.
But what is it about Lake Erie, man? What makes it so special?
Well, I can tell you, A.R. Borden from the NSA group that I was brought in to do specific work with the remote viewers kind of program. He said, Michael, do you know what's underneath you in that area? And I said, no, not really. He said, it's the oldest underground base in the world, and it's not ours. He said, the last time I was down under there, I took that long drive down 75 in Detroit, and that was one of the entrances to this base. Well, that's right, Patterson Air Force Base. I went and Googled it, and Route 75 dead ends into Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. By the way, speaking of this activity, so first of all, we know that there's an underground base there, but also the world's largest salt deposit on the planet is under there. Morton Salt has a mine under there. And I've heard people that went and took tours in the Morton Salt Factory way down below Lake Erie, that there's guards in front of certain tunnels. It's like you don't go down that tunnel. And so AR told me that he was down there, I think it was 2006. So I'm like, man, I'm all ears. What was it like? And he said it was very Sumerian looking, like pre-Egypt, very perfect architecture. And he said they had large areas where they would come together and congregate and do work and socialize, but there was hallways that went off and had all kinds of personal living quarters that they could go into. And what you'll also find, and this is interesting as well, is on an island called Put-in Bay, which is in the middle, it's about an hour and a half from my house, is the largest geode crystal in the world. And I was just there, me and my fiance went there about a month ago, and we actually went down into that largest crystal. It's right there. It's amazing. You got to go down, I don't know, about 100 feet underground. You end up in the middle of this crystal. So there's some very unique properties, and I heard also that there's a huge canyon in Erie. There's a famous beach. What the hell is it called? I can't remember it. But there's a deep canyon, because even though the Lake Erie is the shallowest of the Great Lakes, there's a huge gorge or a canyon. And when you go down there, there's entrances for like submarines and whatnot, who knows. But obviously I've never scuba dived there and got it. But anyhow,
well, there
from
you
what
go.
I understand, it's the world's...
Well,
but check this out, Jimmy. So
I've got to take a break. Michael, I've got to take a break here, so you got 30 seconds.
Right. Cool. This is also the home base of the Nephilim, which is going to be revealed with, it all comes together. In East Lake, Ohio is ground zero.
Why East Lake, Ohio? I knew there was something special. I knew it. That's it. Let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight, Michael Lee Hill. Those photographs are absolutely amazing, by the way. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. More with Michael after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. And last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously. Go Beckley Tappy.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Michael Lee Hill. This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Life Change Tea. Just go to the Life Change Tea banners right there, jimmychurchradio.com. Use the promo code FADER, F-A-D-E-R. You'll get your discounts or free shipping. And also check out their CBD stuff over at Ancient Life Oil. Our guest tonight, Michael Lee Hill. Michael, I grew up on Lake Michigan, and I would look across, you know, you can't see the other side, right? You can't see Michigan. And it's just a massive, you know, freshwater lake, and it's right there, part of this chain that we have, the Great Lakes. And I always felt, even, you know, 5 years old, there's something mysterious. You know, it's so deep, it's so big, and it's so large. And then Eric just posted up here in Twitter the monoliths that were photographed underneath Lake Michigan. Kind of looks Stonehenge-like. We don't know what's under there. Is there something, when you say the Anunnaki, the Nephilim are going to, this is ground zero, is it because there's something underneath these lakes that were there, you know, when sea levels and lake levels were different?
The sea level comes into play, but not necessarily, because you know Carmen Bolter, right? Mm-hmm. Her and I are friends, and she's working on a new documentary using new ground-penetrating radar under a site in Egypt. They found this sprawling complex that was spanned over acres, and she said some of the bigger rooms are the size of grocery stores, and some of the smaller rooms are the size of Olympic swimming pools. And she said if you just took the hallways that connect one room to the next and put them end to end, you'd have over a mile of, I think it's somewhere like 1.2 miles of hallway to walk through just to get from one room to the next. She said that this ground-penetrating radar is so detailed that it can tell the difference between precious metals like gold and silver and make a perfect three-dimensional blueprint of what it's seeing. And they know that these rooms are filled with nothing but gold and artifacts. But that's only at 60 foot. She said at 110 foot was a whole nother level that mirrored the 60 foot level. but there's no hallway that goes from 60 foot to 110 foot. And it's a perfect match and a perfect mirror of the 60-foot level. It's also filled with nothing but artifacts. She said that they believe those were never above ground. They were created underground. Wrap your head around that, you know?
Right.
But the reason this is so important here is, you know, when I met Graham Hancock, and like I said, his new book is on the mound builders. I shared with him what I can share with you right now, and he was blown away. All this will be in his next book. He said, oh my God, as someone was trying to erase this information, someone, must have been a Templar, recorded the actual treasure map to what happened to the Lost Nation. Here's the deal. The oldest road in this area, guess what it's called? Lost Nation. It's funny, but go to Google Earth and just type in Lost Nation, Ohio. When you get to the end of Lost Nation, if you take a left, you're at the major site of the mound builders there. And it's known because it was actually surveyed in the late 1800s by a gentleman named Whittlesley, that it had walls that were 660 feet long with a huge Cahokia-type pyramid in the middle of it. And it's now been mowed down, and there's a East Lake Middle School that sits on that ground. But if you take a right instead of a left off of Lost Nation, the first road you come to is Tioga. What you do is, when you learn the research, Tioga in Iroquois means entering place, peaceful valley. What I want to tell you with this as well is, you know, a lot of people know Edgar Cayce did a lot of prophecy on the Hall of Records and what's underneath the Sphinx's paw and all that. And it's all about Atlantis. But what people might not realize is Edgar Cayce also was very detailed about what happened to the Atlanteans. And his own words were, the last breakup of Atlantis, because there's actually 3 Earth changes, but the last one was 10,500 years ago. And for the first time, that bloodline left Atlantis and went up into the bottom of the North American continent. The first people they met was the Mayans. You know, they said this guy, Quetzalcoatl, showed up, and was Toth, by the way, and showed them the Mayan calendar, showed them pyramid building. But sooner or later, darkness set in. People thinking that they needed sacrifice, they said, you know what, let's keep moving north. Edgar Cayce said they became known as what is the mound builders, and mainly intertwined into the Iroquois tribe of Indians. So what I can tell you is, once you take Lost Nation up, and it dead ends on Lake Erie on a road called Lakeshore Boulevard, once you take a right, someone put in the actual street maps, here's what you find. Tioga, entry place, Peaceful Valley. The next street you come to is named Cherokee. Then the next street is Iroquois. People don't know, but Cherokee and Iroquois are the same blood. The next road is Seneca and Seminole, because part of the bloodline went to Florida and became the Seminole bloodline. And then you got Mohawk, which is another Iroquois tribe. And at the end, the last road is Thunderbird, which is a whole family of the Anunnaki who is here in the Native American Indian bloodline. I think this is so important because so many researchers and people are throwing the Anunnaki and the Nephilim under the proverbial bus and saying they're the ones behind the oil and banking secret society cabal. What I'm bringing to the table, and I got all the proof, I got DNA, that the oldest Inky's bloodline came in through the Native American Indians. What does that have to do with the Illuminati? Nothing. Matter of fact, the Native American Indians have had the worst genocide ever committed against any race ever on this planet by that evil machinery that is the cabal and all of that. 100 million Native American Indians were slaughtered on the formation. And it's interesting that they're the ones that helped form the United States, you know? It's kind of mind-blowing to me. But getting back to that, when I showed Graham Hancock this, he was like, oh my God. Someone recorded this information right in the street names here. So what I can tell you is what happened just a couple months ago. I got a call from a gentleman. He said, I was part of a Smithsonian excavation, and he said, are you aware that there's still a ancient earthwork still standing in your hometown? I've lived here my whole life. I never knew. he told me right where to go, and it's on this first street before you get to Lakeshore off Lost Nation. It's called Reeves Road. He showed me where to go and find this mound, and there is probably the largest unknown ancient mound builder earthwork in North America. No one knows it's there. Jimmy, this thing's so big it takes more than a mile to walk it, around it. And already in that 1970s archaeological dig, artifacts were removed from that mound that ties it to ancient Sumeria and Inky in specific. This is history in the making. I'm so excited, and I'm glad that it's been thrown in my lap. It is what it is, you know. And
well, how do you know that they removed artifacts in the 1970s? Do you have documentation? Is there something that you found?
Yeah, what happened is this guy from the Smithsonian told me right where to find it. And what you can do is right now, all your listeners can go to ChagrinRiverPark.com. It's a metro park. Right on the front page, it said this was the site of the Whittlesley Indian culture, and many artifacts and pottery and bow and arrows and artifacts were removed. Well, one of these artifacts ties it to ancient Sumeria, and he told me it's sitting in the Willoughby Lake County Indian Museum, just a small Indian museum. So I just went there, and sure enough, right there it is. I've held it. I asked her if I could.
What is it? Well, what is the artifact? What is it? Did you?
It is a tablet, like a slate, like a rock slate piece, and on it is what the Native American Indians call the morning star. It's like a 4-pointed star that's like a compass, kinda.
Right.
But if you go back to Sumeria, Inky's holding that in a sphere with humans coming up to him.
Yes, he is.
And,
right.
Yeah, and that specific, because of it coming in through the Native American Indian bloodline, a lot of chiefs have it on their headdress. It's very instrumental in the culture of the Native American Indians. And
I want to see this slate. Did you photograph it?
Hell yeah, I did. I asked her because I was told you need to hold this in your hand, and if she won't let you, you got to put your hand over it and bring the energy because it's encoded with information. So I asked the lady, who was this little old lady. By the way, she goes, "Are you aware that the first?" I know this gets crazy. I'm not Mormon, but the first Mormon temple that was actually built by Joseph Smith is here in the same location in Ohio. And she said, "Are you aware that the Mormons send people from all over the planet to come here to see this first Mormon temple? But they also send everyone to that museum to tell them if they want to see actual artifacts from the lost tribe of Israel, that's where to go." The NSA people told me, if you look at the Book of Mormon, not as a religious text, but as the most accurate history book that's not been messed with by the Vatican, that's more like it. And it does tell the story of the migration of the lost tribe of Israel from Egypt to the United States.
Now, how big is this slate?
It's probably about 5 inches tall by, I don't know, about 4 inches, and there's 4 of them in the museum. But here's the deal. It's pretty much untampered. It's never been hit with ground-penetrating radar, all of it. All of its artifacts are still there. So the History Channel's Thomas Johnson, I'm friends with him because of my work with the Serpent Mound people. He just told me recently, he said, "Michael, we have fourth-dimensional ground-penetrating radar." I don't even know what that is. But he said he's very interested in bringing that team to image this mound site and see exactly what's there. I heard people aren't even going to believe it because this truly is the Hall of Records.
Now, what's on top of the mound? Is it still unmolested? Is it just grass?
Oh, yeah. It's totally unmolested, and it's been preserved. Next to that, CEI coal power plant has huge electric lines, but someone said you can do whatever you want, but nothing touches this mound. And what it looks like is kind of like a ziggurat, if you're familiar.
Sure. So it's stepped on the sides?
It just comes up, and then it's a big field, like just flat on the top. And it's huge. Like I said, it takes over a mile to walk around it. Once you're on top of it, it's like 3 football fields lengths long and about 4 football lengths wide. And it's amazing. But you know what's very interesting with this as well is there's a tree that just looks so out of place to me. And sure enough, I did some research, and what it is a Chinese autumn olive tree. And it's not even indigenous to the United States. It's from China, obviously. And it's interesting because what is also going to be revealed is there's a story for the Iroquois tribe of Indians. For a very long time, they were at war with one another for generation after generation. It was an individual that they called the Peacemaker who came over from the Canada side in his magical stone white canoe, by the way. And after a failure of them trying to unite these tribes against an evil war shaman chief, it didn't work out real well. And so this Peacemaker comes over, and because what happened is the tribes united and went after this war chief with the arrow, and they got their butts handed to them. Well, the Peacemaker showed up, and in the story showed them the olive branch, showed them a different way. And they went, and somehow the Peacemaker was able to sway that war chief and change polarity and join this new confederation. And that's why the Iroquois tribe of Indians was even united in the first place. So the olive branch is very integral to the Peacemaker story. No one's ever known, where did that Peacemaker story go down? It was East Lake, Ohio. And the olive tree, I've got good information that the remains of the Peacemaker will be found under that olive tree on that mound. And that's one of my past incarnations. And
I've got to see this, and it sounds totally fascinating. But that these slates were removed and are on display, and like you're saying, the 4-pointed star that is in not only the clay tablets, but on some of the what do you call it, the rolls,
Dead Sea Scrolls?
No, the Sumerian, not the tablets, but that you roll. Oh man!
Well, I know what you mean. Where they would roll it and it would make a print of it,
and,
like the cuneiform.
Yeah, and there's a couple of those. Well, there's many that have the 4-pointed star there. Yeah. I don't know why. I can't remember what you call those that you roll it up. That's part of live radio. And so I do want to say really quick before we head to this break, everybody, Kat has just posted a picture of her in the hospital post-op listening to the show, and look at her smile. So everybody go and say hello to Kat. I've just retweeted it there. But one of the original Fadernauts, Michael, and a great metal singer, by the way, too, as well.
Kat, I'm sending you some good healing energy as we speak.
That's what I'm talking about. And look at her smile. There you go. She's got the scrubs on and everything. It's got her hospital gown on. The Serpent Mound, I want to go back to that. There is something interesting. I don't know if you talked to Graham about this, and I think he may have mentioned it over the years, but it looks like to me, and Damon Barry talks about this, but there was always something unique about the Serpent Mound. And it looks like the head of the snake or the serpent is either it's got its jaws with a planet or a star. There is something there. It is not, it's not a piece of fruit. That's not what snakes do. It's not an animal. It looks like, the earth or the sun or something is there in the jaws of the serpent. What do you think is going on there?
Man, I've learned so much from the actual people, the bloodline that put it there, which is the mound builders. I can tell you, you're aware that the Serpent Mound sits on the edge of a 5-mile wide crater?
Absolutely.
So there's a fault line and a ley line that are right on top of one another, and it happens to run. Man, I'm going to just blow. Serpent Mound might not be happy I'm going to reveal this, but I think it's time. That ley line and fault line that runs through the serpent's mouth is so energetic that they've seen electricity coming from the ground up from it when certain weather comes by. And so the elders told me how to take in the actual stored wisdom and energy of the Serpent Mound into my own physical body. And it dealt with, knowing what to do by physically. You're not supposed to do this, but you get on the mound and you get on your hands and knees and physically put your pineal gland, third eye, right onto the ground in the serpent's mouth. Truly what you're doing is putting your third eye right on that ley line that's really energetic. And then you pretty much just meditate a couple times. And but Chief Golden Light Eagle had told me, he said, at the vortex, which is in the egg, some people think that's sperm and egg, by the way, that the vortex is in the egg. And he said that because he's part with Bob Dean and all those as part of the first contact team with the Dalai Lama and Bob Dean, and I'm part of that as well. Just leave it there. But he told me, Michael, the powers that be from satellite, there's a frequency that gets beamed out of Serpent Mound, and sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. It's always on equinoxes. You start to find out why this bloodline was so accurate in tracking equinoxes, is that's when the most chi or prana flow through the ley lines of the planet. So they would go to these places on equinoxes to put their energy into these sites. That's why it's so important for these ancient earthworks sites to be returned to the people who know how to use them. And we need the elders. The Native American Indian culture knows how to live in peace and harmony with Mother Nature, more so than any other culture on this planet. And it's direly in need of what's about to happen, that the Native American Indians become a sovereign nation. And it's really interesting because people might not know this, but the Iroquois are like a country within a country. They own Salamanca. When you go to Niagara Falls, which is in Salamanca, New York, there's a sign that says you've now left the United States or New York. You're now under Seneca provision and law. And there's been a toll that's being assessed and it's being paid for by the United States government for your travel through Seneca land. This treaty was up in the late 1990s, and either the United States had to give back Niagara Falls and Salamanca to the Seneca, or they had to redo their treaty. And it was, I believe it was $80 million was given to the Seneca at that point, and there's still $800,000 a year a lease fee for leasing that. And what's interesting is, so it's already under legal precedent and treaty that's being, because someone knows who this bloodline is, obviously. But in this treaty, it says the Iroquois own their own land. What has not been known to mankind is their home base of East Lake, Ohio, it's never been owned by the United States. It's under treaty already. They just left their home base out of it for now. Think about the ramifications of what I'm revealing.
Right. Now, really quick, Sumerian cylinder seals. That's what they're called. And
Yes.
And I've got a bunch of images here. I'm going to bust these out. Absolutely unbelievable. When you look at this, as you were describing it to me, and I'm sitting here picturing it in my own mind's eye, what I saw in the cylinder seals myself, that's exactly what is going on. So I've got two images here. I'm going to bust these out for everybody and take a look at these. Now, if this isn't exactly what Michael is talking about here, and to picture this on American Indian headdresses, that's exactly what is there. And I've often wondered how, and it's talked about a lot, but how the Anunnaki and the Sumerians knew about this at 3000 BC when they were creating these cylinder seals to see the solar system, to see multiple planets, and to see, we didn't discover Neptune and Uranus until the 20th century. With telescopes, but here they are clearly depicted in these cylinder seals. And to have that on slates in, outside of Cleveland in a mound is something else altogether. I need to see these images that you went and took.
I'll get them to you right after we get done here. I'll send them to you.
Well, you should send them in this next break, and I'll post them.
Cool.
I would love to absolutely see it as quick as possible. So now, when we come back, we're going to continue this, but I need to go and discuss A.R. Borden and this document that you sent me earlier today, which is I've read as much of it as I could today. But
pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing, and we'll talk about that too as well. I don't know how many pages it is. It's got to be, let me see here. It's a 31-page doc. And the title of it is The Creation and Manifestation of Life Physics Group. And it's pretty good. And there's 2 essays here. Essay number 1 and essay number 2, Factors Affecting the Internal Psychophysiology of MPO and LERM. And we're going to...
There's a third one, too.
There's a third one. Well, it's too much for me to read here right now. So we're going to take a break. Where did you get this document?
Actually, it's interesting this because, A.R. Borden was the head of the whole NSA remote viewers. By the way, I have information for you from on the JFK assassination from Bill Burns himself, that when he was working with Philip Corso had information that he told him he didn't want it included in the Day After Roswell book. So I asked Bill Burns face to face, because of working with him on the History Channel, I said, I heard through the rumor mill that there's some information that was left out. And sure enough, what it was dealing with the JFK assassination. And what it was actual proof that there was 2 Lee Harvey Oswalds, because the one that went to Russia was way taller. In reality, it was A.R. Borden. Philip Corso was getting his reverse engineered technology from A.R. Borden. That's what they did. So what Bill Burns showed me was in the 60s, we almost went to World War III with Russia. And they said, listen, we know you have radar technology in your jets that's just way beyond anything we have. So it was worked out to keep us going to World War III. They said if we would share that technology with them, that we could work this out. So A.R. Borden personally went there. It's been said that he was Lee Harvey Oswald, but it said when you go through customs, there ain't no doubt about it, you have a height. They measure your height. Well, we know from Lee Harvey Oswald, they know how tall he was. They don't match up. So what I have is the proof from A.R. Borden himself of how this reverse engineered technology was brought to Russia and used in their MiG fighter jets, and down to the company that actually produces MiG fighter jets is called Positronics, if I'm not mistaken. But it's mind-blowing, but it all revolves around the JFK assassination. And I'm sure you and Bill are friends. You should reach out to him, because this is a huge break in this story that's coming from the likes of Philip Corso.
Right.
And Bill's.
Well,
so I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight is Michael Lee Hill. When we come back, we're going to talk about this document that he sent me today. It's absolutely fascinating, and I don't know how much of it is out there in the public, but it's a good read. More on that right after the break. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat. Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on the smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com. Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go back, Lee Tappy. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go back, Lee Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Michael Lee Hill. And I'm trying to, what was it? I remember now, Michael. It was, I keep going back to the Serpent Mound because I'm so fascinated with it. I've been there myself. It was episode 8 of Damon Barry's movie series, The Knowledge of the Forever Time. He covers the Serpent Mound there, and in a really, really brilliant way. And he also brings up the cliff right there, the cut, because of the comet or asteroid impact that hit there at some point. That's what they were theorizing, that something had hit there. And it was then marked, and the the cosmic event was there. And he lays it out. I couldn't remember because we discussed it in depth, and I was trying to put it in, but that's what it was. It was the knowledge of the forever time, invitation number 8, where he covers the Serpent Mound in there, and it's really, really, really well done. And if you haven't checked it out, you should. Invitation number 8, the knowledge of the forever time. Okay, now that I got my conscience cleared there, I love the Serpent Mound. Out of you see, this is what I find interesting, and you've been doing research on this for a long time, but. The mounds and the mound builders across the United States, and certainly in the northeast part of the United States, which covers everything from Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York.
All around the Great Lakes.
All around the Great Lakes. When I was a kid, in 8th grade, I took an Indiana history class, and at that time, I think it was like one of those required classes, and I took it. My teacher then, in this book, which was called Indiana History, there was a couple of things that he pointed out there, and one of them we did a couple of weeks on the mound builders, and this was. I'm going to go back. I'm going to say 1976. Okay, that's a long time ago, 1977, right before I went to Panama. And he had clearly said to the class, we don't know. We don't know who built the mounds. We think it was the American Indians and the Indian culture, but we really don't know, and they're all over. And he had marked all of these places in Indiana. And then we covered the Serpent Mound. Now, out of everything in the United States, and a lot of these which were surveyed, like you were talking about, very interesting sites, but nothing tops the Serpent Mound. The Serpent Mound is unique amongst everything. It is one of the most beautiful. It's large, and it's so well preserved, and it's done with intention. It is a remarkable site here in the United States.
Indeed. And like I said, go to NPR and type in 2017 eclipse. And NPR was there, and we had a huge ceremony. We had over 1,000 people, and it was pretty profound. I've learned so much. If you want to know, here's the problem. All these people are trying to figure out what Serpent Mound is, and they're not going to the Native American Indian elders who know what it is, People need to start paying attention to who the Native American Indians. They have so much wisdom to share. By the way, I just want to say that morning star shape, what I've been told is it's the geometry of a specific frequency, and using cymatics, which makes frequency visible.
Right.
That there's a specific frequency that is 432 related that makes a perfect 4-pointed star. And they've been pointing us into actually encoding octaves of the frequency of 432 into the dimension and layouts of these mound sites. No one knows this yet, but it's absolutely provable. 432, out of Sumeria, they gave us even our system of how we measure time. Look at how many seconds is in 12 hours. It's 43,200, 432. Look at the Sumerian kings list. Some of those lasted 432,000 years. They've been trying to guide us into actual frequencies that align us, because 432 squared is the speed of light within 1% accuracy. So it's the only frequencies that plug into E equals mc squared, because 432 squared becomes C times mass, equals energy. It aligns oneself with light frequency of the creation of physical matter. And this is what Tesla was trying, because it's mind-blowing. You know how we're in a this is Dan Reed taught me this, bro. He said, Michael, you know how the ancients gave us this idea of multiplying or dividing whole units by 12, whether it's 12 inches in a foot, or 12 months in a year, 12 hours in a day, so on and so on. He goes, let's take 440 and divide it by 12 and see what happens. You get 36.666666666. It has a very long remainder of just sixes. He goes, oh my God, it's pretending to be sacred geometry while still being an imposter. He said, let's see what happens when you take 432 and divide it by 12. It's a perfect 36. 3 and 6 is 9. All octaves of the frequency 432 all resolve to 9. 4 plus 3 plus 2 is 9. Its lower octave is 216. 2, 1, and 6 is 9. Its lower octave is 108. 1 and 8 is 9. 108 is interesting because Tibetan monks have 108 beads on their prayer bracelets, and they'll chant something 108 times. Lower than that is 54 hertz, and then 27 hertz. So what you find is if you take that 27 hertz pulse and put it through a simoscope that shows the geometry of it, you get a perfect 7-pointed star. The 7-pointed star is what the Inky crop circle in 2011 that showed up in Italy was based around. They've been trying to pinpoint us, and by the way, the Babylonian world map that sits in a museum is on a 7-pointed star. The Cherokee symbol for their tribe is a 7-pointed star. A 7-pointed star is created by a 27 hertz pulse, scientifically provable. That's 4 octaves below 432. See, I think that this shows you, people are saying that they're here to control us and all this. They've been trying peacefully, waiting for us to wake up to make sense of this data. And now we're right at the verge of it.
Well, excuse me, I didn't hit the cough button. Do you have, my new amps arrive tomorrow? And so I think I'm going to shift the guitars here to 432.
Do it.
And I'm going to check it out. I'm going to go against, a native 440 and go to 432. And I just want to see what this does with the strobo tuners and the tuners and my ear. But I'm going to go. I'm going to go full on into it and see how these amps respond to it as well. I'm gonna do it now. Have you? Is all of your setup at 432?
It is now. But I'll tell you what. Like if I go to a musician's night, they're all tuned in 440.
Right.
And obviously, if I'm at 432 and they're at 440, it's going to sound like a cluster. You know what?
Well, yeah, right.
So,
do you keep one guitar at 440 and everything else at 432?
Yes, I do. But I'll tell you what, the instruments are just feel dead now at 440 because if you use a simoscope and pump a 440 pulse through it, there's no geometry. It looks like a puddle of water. But if you just back it off 8 cents, it comes into perfect focus. And there's more information in the signal. Like when I hired Simoscope to image my guitar at 432, when I first started playing this, it sounded like I had a harmonizer pedal going with me.
Right.
Because there's more, like I said, the only way really to wrap your head around this is if you're just sitting there playing an acoustic guitar and you go to Radio Shack and you get you a decibel level and someone's tuned in 440 and you're 10 foot away from them, you go, okay, the dude's hitting 60 dB at being tuned to A equals 440.
Right.
By doing nothing more than tuning to your A note down to 432 and tuning everything to that, you'll gain about 1/3 of decibel volume. There's more actual resonation. All the overtones, all the harmonics pop out for the first time ever.
Right.
Wait till you feel it.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And it aligns music with a light frequency that actually speaks on a cellular level, according to the scientists at Simoscope. And you spoke of Nassim Harriman. He took my cymatic image of my guitar tuned to 432, which has kind of become famous now, which is kind of cool. He took it under his wing and put it through the Resonance Project. And last time I checked, there was like 3,000 likes and shares, and he wrote a really nice paragraph on why we really should be aligning to galactic frequencies that create perfect geometry. Because if you look at sacred geometry and you start to understand everything is being created from an atom to a galaxy to Fibonacci sequences and golden mean, well, obviously if you find out frequency creates geometry, it's probably important to figure out what frequencies create perfect geometry. Cymatics allows us to do that now, and 432 is the key, and it just so happens the Anunnaki have been trying to guide us into the importance of 432 through 7-pointed stars and crop circles, 432-based physics and mathematics encoded into these actual dimensions and layouts of mound builder sites into our actual timekeeping. It blows my mind, man.
Yeah, and man, I could stay on this guitar thing all night. I'm very interested to jump in, feet first into this 432 thing, because it makes a lot of sense. And when I see it with the cymatics and how it's played out and how it comes into focus, that to me is the most important thing. It's got to be doing something directly to your ears. But I want to feel it. I want to feel it through the guitars. I want to see how it resonates. I want to see what it does with the strings. I want to see how it feels through the hands and the picks and everything else, because it's got to do something when it goes into that kind of alignment. I definitely felt a difference, and I think most guitar players did, when I was dropping a quarter step and doing all of that Van Halen stuff back in the mid-'90s, and dropping not to a full detuning, but just dropping things down. Once you got out of the 440 range, I'm telling you, the things just sounded better. They were funner to play. Songs came to life. There was a reason why David Lee Roth sounded so good, man. It wasn't because of Roth. It's because of that drop tuning. And I kid, but and I'm being really serious about the drop tuning. Once you got out of 440, the way things sounded different and more fun, more engaging, and nobody knew why, right? Nobody knew why. Nobody could figure it out. So I'm gonna really get into this tomorrow. I want to, before we run out of time, I've got to talk about this document that you sent me. Is this out there in the public domain right now? No. I've tried.
What happened was, after AR passed, because in 2012 I was brought into a 7-member team that he personally put together, and we did some work. People think 2012 was such a non-event. They have no idea what kind of work was being done behind the scenes. And because of this, we had pissed off the transhumanist people, the people behind the Georgia Guidestones. It's right there. They want to keep humanity under 500 million. And they wanted some of these earth changes that were going to happen in 2012. Well, we went right to the incoming, and through things we learned, we asked the Anunnaki for their help to make this a more survivable transit. And so, make a long story short, that's when they took A.R. Borden out with cancer. He said, we pissed off the wrong people, our mission was successful. But after that, I had accumulated, and the other team members as well, all this learning material from AR and ebooks, and I actually have my NSA tasking instructions, because after that project in 2012 of contacting Nibiru and asking for their help, which I know exactly what happened. We'll probably have to get that into another show. But if you remember, Hurricane Sandy was coming into New York. They told us it was being artificially steered, that there is weather manipulation warfare going on. And they said, we know you're not a weatherman, but we're going to send you all the most accurate weather data from all the satellites of the storm's trajectory, speed. All we need for you to do is to put your eyes on this, because we know you have a handshake, they called it, with my counterpart on Nibiru, that they would know what to do with this data. Obviously, they said, you have no idea what you're going to be looking at. We just need you to put your eyes on it. I still have all those tasking instructions and everything. And look what happened. All the intensity of that storm was taken out before it hit New York. And at the exact same time, there was earthquake Charlotte on the west coast of the United States that created a tsunami that was coming into Hawaii. And the team was tasked with that as well. And that was live on TV. They knew in 3 hours the tsunami is going to be reaching 20-foot wall of water, Buoys, tsunami buoys do not lie. There was a wall of water, and they had everyone in Hawaii go to higher ground, and it was live. They're going, in 5 minutes it should be here. Just little tiny ripples arrived on Hawaii.
Right.
That was the work of A.R. Borden and myself. And by the way, this work is going to become very important for. I did this myself with the storm that was coming into Florida. I got a lot of the original team members and did the same work just recently. And if you've seen, right when it got to Florida, all the water went out. Storms gain their intensity from feeding off warm water. For the first time ever, all the water receded. The storm's food source was taken away from it, and it reduced its intensity down like it wasn't nearly, still bad, but it was much more survivable than what anyone was forecasting. So humans need to start taking responsibility and knowing that we can take part in what we would consider weather. And the mound builders are very adept at this, of going to these mound sites and working with water and taking electricity out of the air. Mind-blowing stuff. By the way, I just sent you the actual artifact, the Morning Star, and the actual artist depictions of what you're looking at when you look is the artist depiction of the front and back of each thing. I sent you 2 of those, and one actual picture of me holding the Morning Star artifact that was removed from this.
Okay, where did you send them?
Facebook.
Okay, let me pull these up. I'm so this essay just freaks me out. When was the essay written? As I'm opening up this Facebook.
It was probably about 10 years ago. AR passed in 2013.
Right.
I worked with him from 2008 until 2013. That information was given to me. By the way, all your listeners, with me and these other team members, which, by the way, Jimmy, anytime you want, I'm still in contact with all these people, and they're very involved in the UFO field. Karen Kirkpatrick ended working with Edgar Mitchell in that whole movement. She was one of the team members that was put together with this. Anytime you want to do a show and bring these other people in, and you can ask them how they came into the fold and how they met A.R. Borton, they're willing and ready to do that.
Yeah, I would love to. I'm looking at, absolutely, we should do that. I'm looking at the drawings here of the slate and the artifact. Okay, so we have the 4-pointed star here. On the opposite side, what is it showing? Okay, wait. Oh man, do we have enough time? What's the hole for in the middle of it?
They said some of these would have a rope put around them and they would wear them. But I can tell you, because of being brought into the Star Knowledge family, I showed these pictures to Clifford Mahudi.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, of course.
Zuni Elder. He freaked out. He goes, "Oh, you got to get these to me. This is what I do." Because he recognized that this Morning Star is also on the Zuni, those cliff walls. Matter of fact, I think they showed it on Ancient Aliens when he went and pointed to it. So this ties the same bloodline to the Zuni that we're talking about here in East Lake, Ohio.
Yeah, this is an unbelievable artifact. Yeah. That's pretty trippy. That's pretty trippy. I don't see why no, that hole is for something else. It's not to wear it. That would be pretty uncomfortable. It's there for something else.
You know what? I'm feeling you.
Yeah, you line that up to the sun, you line that up to a star, and you've got a constellation on the back, and you've got directions on both sides. This is pretty interesting, man. There's is real cool.
2 more, too. I've just sent you.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Plates. I got photographs of, that's my hand holding the Morning Star one. I can tell you, that artifact almost feels like it's vibrating.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's
that's special. That's special. And
no one even knows.
And this other one, I would like to see the actual, because this is the drawing of it. But again, there's something being depicted here, and I just can't. These are special. These are really, 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 really cool. That Morning Star one, though. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Do I have permission to put this in the video tomorrow?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'm so excited because being able to share all this with Graham Hancock and, truly what's happening is in 2024, that next eclipse comes right over this mound in East Lake, Ohio. We're going to have the biggest revelation, including my marriage and being, because the females are the ones in the Native American Indian culture that make someone a chief. And I will be gaining my chiefdom in 2024. And but think of the 2017 trajectory of the eclipse and the 2024. It creates an X right over the United States. You know where the X is?
Where?
That like the X marks the spot? It's Cahokia, St. Louis. What I've heard is this bloodline put the Ark of the Covenant is at Cahokia. And all of this will be revealed in 2024. And it all leads to the unveiling of the Hall of Records being in East Lake, Ohio. But what I can tell you is there's a huge rock at this mound site in East Lake, Ohio. I'm talking it's about 3 foot tall. It has those two trajectories of these total eclipses somehow infused into the rock, that it looks like a quartz crystal vein that is so perfect. It looks like it's been done with a ruler, but it goes all the way through the rock. And I'm in the process right now of proving that is the two trajectories of the eclipse. Very exciting times coming up between now and 2024.
Now, this the drawings that you sent and the ones that don't have the second artifact. Do you have pictures of the second artifact?
Yeah, I got pictures of them all, so you'll know what was going on. In this glass case that they were like, you had to look down through glass on it. Up on the back of the wall, above that display, was these artist depictions, because once it's under the glass and stuff, some of the inscriptions were a little hard to make out. So they did this artist representation of what the guy that was part of this excavation did, these drawings of these. But I'm telling you, it's been untouched.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the images. Send it to me after the show tonight.
I absolutely will.
Oh, man. Very, very cool. I got him up in Twitter right now. Oh, Michael, always great having you on the show. You want to hang out maybe and take some phone calls?
Yeah, man.
Okay, let's do that. I'm gonna take a break right now. We'll get the phone line set up. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045 for Michael Lee Hill. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Fascinating show tonight. Oh, man, I knew it was going to be all this. I'm going to take a break right now. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter, but listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night, you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy, spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. GetTheTea.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. GetTheTea.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional. Ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black Blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hey, can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at naturesyouth.com. naturesyouth.com. The holidays are coming. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at naturesyouth.com. That's naturesyouth.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRAradio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. What a great Monday show. Michael Lee Hill. He's going to hang out, take some phone calls, and do a little overtime with us. But I wanted to share this breaking news with you. Check this out. Amazon Prime is going to Middle Earth. That's right. Amazon announced today it's bringing The Lord of the Rings to television. With a multiple season commitment, the television series will take place before the feature film in 2001, The Fellowship of the Ring, which kicks off the trilogy, as we all know. Now, Amazon said in a release the deal includes potentials for spin-off series as well. The announcement, though, strangely enough, is Amazon's first major programming announcement since the departure of former executive Roy Price, who is all wrapped up in the sex scandals that are rocking Hollywood right now. But Amazon is bringing The Lord of the Rings to a television series. Now, they alluded, and I'm not sure, that it wasn't part of the announcement, but that maybe Peter Jackson is involved. Now, how cool would that be? Okay? All right, so it's going to be as good as Amazon is, you know, that the technical level of the special effects and the way that this is going to be shot is going to be second to none. Also, over the last month, and I know you've been seeing this too as well, the X-Files is coming back in 2018, and they've been leaking a lot of how do I want to say this? Footage of the new series, and it looks pretty good. So we've got a lot of stuff that is right around the corner here that, you know, this is stuff that I enjoy. All right, let's get back here, man. The phones are going off the hook here, too, as well. All right, Michael, you ready to go? Take some phone calls? Okay.
Love your bumper music, by the way.
That's, you know what's great? That's Doug Aldrich, right? Mm-hmm. But this is what's interesting here. Is the drummer and bass player are from Steve Vai's band when he cut Alien Love Secrets. That's Chris Frazier on drums from Steve Vai and the bass player, too, as well. All right, let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. You're live right now. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, you're live.
Jimmy?
Yes.
Oh, hey, Jimmy. Hey, Michael. How you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Fantastic.
Hey, wonderful. First-time caller. I really love your show. I can't imagine. The format is amazing. I have a question about a symbol. You guys are familiar with the Zelda game, video game Zelda, the Triforce?
I'm familiar with Zelda, of course. I think we all are. We better be, right?
the diamond shape with the diamond with the upside down diamond in the center.
Yes.
Okay. There was a TV show called V, and in the TV show V, all the people that were associated with the visitors wore that symbol on their ring.
Okay.
I saw a UFO in Long Beach, California about, maybe about 1989, 1990. The UFO showed me that symbol.
Really?
It came across, it showed me that symbol. There was actually a person across the street that witnessed it, so it was confirmed. I've never been able to find out what the meaning of that symbol is. Do you guys have any insight?
No, and I'm looking at it here. That is, just looking at that, that is so, how do I want to say that? All the symbolism that you could want is in that. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all
agree.
there.
It's
got a lot of action going on there. And I'm looking at it here. I haven't seen it in a while. But now that because Zelda's going back 20 years, right?
Yeah.
The 30th anniversary edition of The Legend of Zelda is out. So there you go. So 30 years. Knowing what I know now when it comes to symbolism and looking at this, there is a lot going on there. But you're saying that you were shown this by an ET craft.
I'm assuming it was an ET craft. I mean, it could have been one of ours, but I don't know why one of ours would actually take the time to show me a symbol.
Right. Well, I'm looking at the V ring here too, as well. I'm looking at it. You're absolutely right. It's pretty dang close. Yeah. Wow. It is pretty close to being the same. I'm
hoping maybe some of the Fadernauts will have some insight, and they'll tweet that to you, and I can get some. And maybe if you find anything out, maybe you can bring it up on a later show. But I'm mystified because you see it everywhere.
Yeah,
people use it everywhere.
Yeah,
it's on buildings. I mean, it's all over the planet.
Right.
But I've never heard definitively what it means.
Wow, and there's coffee cups for sale with this symbol on it too, as well. I got to get me one of those.
Everywhere.
What's your name?
My name is David. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you so much, David, for the phone call. First-time caller, man, and you know how much we love that. Don't be a stranger. Thank you.
All right. Have a great night, guys.
Yeah, you too. Man, what a great phone call there, Michael. And I didn't even give you a chance to talk to him, but I'm looking at these symbols here. Are you familiar with this Zelda symbol?
I am not. I kind of skipped the whole game thing. I went right to Oddworld, if you know that show. But, the game, I mean. Yeah, but I'm not real familiar with Zelda.
Well, when
I would say
after the show tonight,
creates geometry.
After the show tonight, just go and look up the Zelda symbols. You'll see a whole collection of them, and then switch over to the television show V and type in ring. And you'll see it's exactly the same. It's but it's got all the symbolism in there that you could ever want, man. It's got the Anunnaki wings, and it's all in there, man. Pyramids, the eye. That's pretty trippy. I've never known that. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, what's up? This is Dustin from Texas.
Hey, Dustin from Texas. Say hi to Michael Lee Hill.
Hey, Michael Lee Hill. How you doing tonight?
Doing fantastic. How you doing, Dustin?
I'm doing very good. Just working as usual. I just have a question about I've been, reading a lot of stuff, see a lot of stuff about the triangles being government, ours rather than theirs. What do you think about that?
Well, I just posted a video on my wall that Bob Dean released that Eisenhower met with 4 different races of extraterrestrials in 1952. This is pretty well known now and accurate. But it was Bob Dean who revealed that the Anunnaki was one of those races. And this is in 1952. I asked A.R. Borden about this, and he said that they wanted to help mankind get to unlimited free energy, but had to be careful about how it was done. But they said you need to get rid of your nuclear power ambitions because you don't know what you're dealing with. And we're not invaders. We're not going to come and just take over. But they said you need to get rid of your nuclear power ambitions. And the Greys did not make that stipulation and said, matter of fact, if you let us abduct people, we will even give you reverse engineered technology. So I asked A.R. Borden, I said, what's it going to take to get another offer on the table? Because we could use their help. Look at Fukushima. They knew what they're talking about. And look at all the UFOs that come down, and they take out silos, nuclear missiles, and make them go into no-go. And all these, like Stephen Greer's disclosure project of these Army officials saying, we've been shooting off these missiles, and a UFO comes, and it's a nuclear warhead, dummy, and it gets shot by a laser and flips out of the sky. The reason I'm telling you all this is, he said, what makes you think we didn't go into technology transfer programs with them right then in 1952? That it just didn't go public. But he said, where do you think LERM and NPO and ENS, which is electrical neural sensing? Imagine remote viewing with Anunnaki technology, assisted remote viewing. It's a reality. So just because our government has triangular craft, it's reverse engineered with the help of the Anunnaki anyhow. So the line of what's ours and theirs is pretty blurry.
Yeah, it'd be hard to tell. And if you have time, could I ask one more question?
Yeah, go ahead, Dustin, real quick.
Okay. I've seen these orbs before. They come at you, kind of looks like a shooting star for a little bit, and then they break off. I can't wrap my mind around that type of technology. Is there any sort of way that you can explain it? Do you know more about it? Because it just blows my mind just thinking about that stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what. Go to my website. It's michaelleehill.net. And go to my blog section. I have actual, the UK Ministry of Defense said the real deal are these orbs of light, and somehow they can divide and become into two, and then another one will almost like cellularly divide and become three. But like I said, it's always 3s, 6s, and 9s, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's all there. Go to my website and start perusing my blog section, and you'll get a lot of info. I've released some very detailed info at my website.
Sounds good. Yeah, I started following your Facebook page today, but yeah, I will definitely check out your website.
Thank you so much, Dustin. It's michaelleehill.net, not .com, .net. Thank you so much, Dustin, and have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow on the show.
You too. All right, Jim, I'll be here. Bye.
Story. Peace, brother. There's a funny story why I can't own .com, but that's for a whole nother show. It's owned by someone else, I'll just tell you that.
Well, yeah. I don't even like talking about that because then people out there will start going out there and grabbing stuff. We grabbed as much as we could. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's very, very interesting. It's people like to hold things hostage, and then the other thing is they can create bogus information out there too under your name, and it's really a sad state of affairs that it's come down to that. That you would expect that you would hope that everybody is as cool as you are. Right? I mean, because we don't cause trouble. You don't cause trouble.
I try not to.
Right. But it does exist out there, man. It does exist. Now, I want to go back to this document really quick. The phone lines are open, 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. I've got a whole load of calls coming in on the other line. Don't use that line. Just go with the 323-825-5045. Back to this document, though. It is so complex. The part about it for me, because a lot of it goes way over my head, but it doesn't read bogus. Okay, it does not read as bogus. It's way beyond somebody that was trying to create something that was fictitious or a hoax. It appears to me to be the genuine article.
Yeah, man.
And so with that, before I go back to the phones, what do you think was trying to not only be said here, but revealing? Because it's complex, it's technical, and it's going into light frequencies and assembling and communications and manifesting and observations and reality. But it's on a scientific level. What is the general message of this document?
A.R. Borden, I'll tell you, I'll get right to the chase, man. For the people that are really studying the Anunnaki, there was an individual named Gelzu who was not Anunnaki. He was said to be an ambassador from all that is. And when he showed up, both Enlil, Enki, and Anu of the Anunnaki sat their butts down and took counsel. And A.R. Borden was this person, Gelzu. I am Ea Enki. And he said, Michael, I stand behind you now. In many other incarnations, I did not stand behind you because you became an idiot. It's his own words. But so A.R. Borden was this character. When you look into who the Anunnaki are, if people want to look into this, type in Gelzu and Sasha Lesson. Because Sasha studied under Zechariah Sitchin, and Zechariah Sitchin handed the what's that called in a relay race?
Baton.
The baton.
Right.
Yeah, he handed it off to Sasha and Janet Lesson. And he has done a lot of releasing on who Gelzu. You'll never understand the Anunnaki story unless you look into who Gelzu is. What I'm telling you is Gelzu was A.R. Borden in a physical incarnation. And in the late 1950s, because of him being the head of these reverse engineered programs and coming into contact with the Anunnaki, he was the first one that had intelligence acceleration software that was Anunnaki based used on himself. And because of that, he became one of the most intelligent person, quantum physicist. But between us all here, that same technology was used on myself and the team. And it made one member go insane because if you got a lot of garbage still left in your belief system,
right?
Shadow work, it will. And this person had a military upbringing that their mind had been compartmentalized. And so there's a lot of shadow stuff that was kept away. Well, once that governor of what your conscious mind is taking in and your unconscious, because like it says, 15 bits of information your waking state consciousness brings in. And you can prove this by taking a strobe light. And once they say the highest you can go is 27 frames per second.
Right.
And a strobe light, once you hit 27 frames per second, it turns into a solid white light. But your unconsciousness is taking in million bits of information.
Yeah.
So imagine.
I've read that over the years that trying to go from 15, 16, possibly 17, and ramping that up to a stream of data up to 80 or 100. Now, that's 4 times, 5 times, 10 times the amount of what we naturally see and absorb in a data stream.
Yeah.
Now, I want to read this because I've got to get back. I've got a couple of phone calls on hold, but just this is what we're talking about here. This is one paragraph from this document. It says, light encoding of our reality matrix is built into the human race and wired into the nervous system as species capabilities. To encode light means to invite photons to occupy space and transform themselves into elementary particles and atoms, organizing themselves like an orchestra with a specific piece to perform as a group. The operative term is to invite. For one, that is precisely what we do. Where and how they organize themselves is according to the pattern of information in that template, as in to figure the right. The X-ray hologram shows, and there's a photograph here of it, shows the positions of each of the cobalt atoms within a structure primed by a thought or information template. Now, that is part of this document. The document goes way over my head, but it is written from a mindset here that is of high intelligence. This isn't some hoaxed document. It's a pretty amazing document. Let's take one last phone call, Mike. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, my name is Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. How are you?
I'm well. How are you this evening?
Doing pretty good. Say hi to Michael.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Your voice sounds very familiar.
Okay, Sarah, what do you have for Michael?
Well, I actually wanted to touch base on some of the A.R. Borden information, and especially these new documents and the actual application. So this does seem to come from a really intelligent source, if you will. And just wondering how applicable it is to us as the people. You know, is this something that we can try to do ourselves? And if we were to do it, is there any certain techniques or application styles, maybe practice methods?
Michael?
Yeah. What this is all about, LERM means Light Encoded Reality Matrix. MPO is your moment point observation. And truly what moment point observation is what you're observing in this moment point. And how I was taught this is, you know, you could have, right now my MPO is this bedroom that I'm in. But I could take this piece of notebook paper and think of the starry beach and beautiful moon up above and beautiful calm waters. Put my consciousness now there. That's a new MPO. And why this is important is you need to be conscious of your NPO, and it's kind of like building where you're going to remote view as well. But with the electrical neural sensing, Anunnaki assisted remote viewing, once you choose a new MPO, you have enough chi to bring in a new physical avatar, which gets into, people can look into where LERM, Light Encoded Reality Matrix, came from is the NSA started studying Tibetan monks. And type in Tulpa, T-U-L-P-A. What you'll find is these really advanced Tibetan monks would meditate on the thought form of a revered monk that had passed away. And they would do it with such tenacity and such meditation and visualization that monk would appear in the real physical 3D, and other monks came innate with its own full consciousness. So what we're talking about is the physical creation of light and sound creating physical reality, and taking the harnesses to create something from nothing to truly be able to manifest physical reality at will. And so how to administer this in your life is first to know that you're doing it already, that everyone is manifesting physical reality from their mental energy. The question is, are you doing it consciously or unconsciously? Because if it's unconscious, your reality will manifest from the mass consciousness. That we're all connected to the mass consciousness. And it's interesting because I've learned that the first thought forms that enter the human brain are from the mass consciousness. And the mass consciousness is filled with a lot of fear and doubt and darkness right now, to be blunt. So more than likely, if you don't look for another outcome and you accept those first thoughts that are coming from the mass reality, your reality will manifest in your life from the mass consciousness. It's not until you take responsibility for your own mental energy and begin to start thinking about what you're thinking about. And once these feelings of fear, doubt, and limitation come into your mind, it's usually, I'm getting screwed again. Oh, this isn't going, this is not the way I wanted it, whatever. You got to train yourself to go, thank you for showing me what I got a fear stamp on. What else is available? What you'll find is Bruce Lee had this idea, same spiritual knowledge, of when he would have a feeling of fear or doubt, he would write it down on a piece of paper,
right,
then burn it and give it back to the universe and say,
right,
thank you.
Right.
What else is available? So that would be my my advice to start working with these ideas, is to know your mental energy is creating your physical reality, and we're not just we're interacting with reality, not just observing it.
Sarah, thank you so much for the phone call. And Michael, are you going to post these docs on your website?
Yeah, a matter of fact is me and some of the other team members started a Facebook group called The Writings of A.R. Borden, and we've all been, if you go to the files section, anyone that's listening, go and join this group and go to the files, and all of our, because what we found is some team members would have one document that none of us else had.
Right.
And he's passed away, so we made this a safe keep of all of us putting our information in. But AR's wish was to create something he called the Linkage Institute, which was a whole bunch of media people like yourself, Jimmy, and all this walk of life, that his dream was to release this information in a responsible and very concise, accurate way to humanity. And it was called the Linkage Institute. Well, after his passing, a few years went by, and I took up the reins myself and started the Linkage Institute on Facebook as well. So if you go to Linkage Institute on Facebook, so yes, I've been trying to do everything I can to release this information, and I'm so glad that you, over anyone, I really appreciate that you've taken the time. In the last interview, when you said you were reading the letter to Michael Lee Hill from A.R. Borden,
right,
it really moved me that you took the time. You know how many, you're the first that has taken the time to actually look into what I've been putting out to the world. So thank you, Jimmy.
No, thank you, Michael. And Sarah, thank you so much. And go to the Linkage Institute on Facebook, and you can check out some of these documents yourself. They're absolutely amazing. Thank you, Sarah.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having such a wonderful guest. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I love first-time callers, man. It's just the best. And, Michael, I got to get out of here, man. We're right up against the credits here. So thank you so much. And, again, everybody, it's michaelleehill.net is his website. Links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. His Facebook page is over at jimmychurchradio.com. And there you go. Michael, man, thank you so much. And I'll get back to you about my 432 experiment. You know what's going on tomorrow with these amps. I haven't announced it to anybody yet, or the world, but you know you know what I'm about to get started. Rita said, "Oh no, I got 8 hours of guitar playing every day now." I'll talk to you, Michael. Thank you so much, my friend.
Right on. Peace. Thank you for having me, Jimmy.
You got it. Michael Lee Hill, everybody. Again, it's michaelleehill.net, and his Facebook page is right there at jimmychurchradio.com. With that concludes another great Monday, kicking off this week here on Fade to Black. Thank you so much to Michael Lee Hill, and of course, Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark T. Kovar, LJ3, Renee Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar, Fady by Dale, Webmaster Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2017 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, right here, Daniel P. Sheehan, live from Standing Rock. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Very special thanks to Michael Lee Hill. I'll see everybody tomorrow night right here. But until then, everybody be safe. Go Backley Tapping.